What if I told you that top law schools like Harvard, Yale, and Stanford are secretly terrified of going LSAT optional? They'll never say it outright, of course. Instead, they'll talk about expanding access and reducing barriers. But behind closed doors, they know that dropping the LSAT could wreck their rankings, shake their prestige, and to cost them millions in funding and donations. So today, I'm going to break it all down. Why elite law schools are desperate to keep the LSAT, even while they pretend otherwise, how test optional policies actually hurt applicants more than they help, and most importantly, how you can use this information to maximize your admissions and your scholarships. Today, I'm going to share with you a clear, no BS strategy to get into the best law school possible and secure the biggest scholarship you can. But before we dive in, if you're serious about getting the best LSAT score possible, grab my free Easy LSAT cheat sheet linked below this video, packed with tips on timing, accuracy, and strategies to help you study smarter, not harder. First, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally raised my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. And over the past 20 years, I've helped thousands of students do the same, many of them landing at top law schools with full ride scholarships. I've seen every LSAT change, every admissions trend, and every sneaky move law schools make to protect their rankings. And this new LSAT optional policy is not what it seems. Here's what most applicants don't realize. Law schools don't just admit students, they compete for rankings. And the LSAT is one of the biggest factors keeping their rankings high and predictable. Law schools, especially top ones, can't afford to lose the LSAT because, first off, it's standardized. GPAs are all over the place, and there is rampant grade inflation. A 3.9 with one major might be a 3.3 with a different major. The LSAT is the only number law schools can trust. Secondly, it drives prestige. High LSAT scores equal high rankings, and high rankings equal more prestige. More prestige equals more applicants. This is a cycle law schools don't want to break. And finally, this cycle, fueled by the LSAT, attracts employers and alumni donations. Law firms want to recruit from the best law schools, and guess what signals quality? LSAT scores and the rankings. Alumni also care about rankings because their school's prestige affects their own career value. So bottom line, the LSAT is not just about testing your potential. It's a tool law schools use to maintain their status and their funding. So if you want to flip this all in your favor, here's the move. A high LSAT score makes you a top-tier applicant. Law schools need students with strong scores to maintain their ranking, and that gives you leverage, especially when negotiating scholarships. Now, law schools are experimenting with test optional policies, but here's what they don't want to admit. Without LSAT scores, the rankings go totally haywire, and schools will struggle to maintain their spot on the list. And back when undergrad schools first went test optional, applications skyrocketed, but admission officers had a harder time evaluating applicants. So a flood of applications with a lower average quality means a whole lot more work for them, harder to parse out who is the strongest candidate. And finally, the LSAT is a strong predictor of law school success. If schools were to admit too many low-scoring students, bar passage rates would drop, and that's bad for rankings and bad for their ABA accreditation status. Now, the schools pushing test optional policies the hardest are not the Yales and the Harvards. They're the lower tier schools trying to inflate their applicant numbers. Meanwhile, the top schools are watching very carefully. They know the risks, which is why they haven't abandoned the LSAT entirely. Now, as I mentioned, when undergrad schools went test optional, applications spiked and predictability dropped. More people applied, but admissions officers were not able to compare candidates fairly. This ended up leading to more emphasis on subjective factors like essays and extracurriculars, but those are harder to evaluate consistently. As a result, rankings became unstable. Some schools benefited, but others saw unexpected drops. Now think about the top law schools. They don't want to deal with all this uncertainty. They like having a clear-cut way to rank applicants, and they like their spot at the top of the rankings. The LSAT gives them that. Bottom line, your big takeaway, even if a school says it's test optional, applying with a strong LSAT score gives you a huge advantage, not only for getting in, but also for getting significant scholarship money. So to use all this to your advantage, take the LSAT seriously. Even if a school says it's optional, it still boosts your odds of getting in and getting significant scholarship money. Of course, you want to aim for the highest score possible because the higher your LSAT, the more power you have in negotiations. And if you'd like my help getting the strongest LSAT score possible, getting as much scholarship money as possible, my team and I would be glad to help you out. We've helped thousands of students hit 170 plus and unlock massive scholarships. If you'd like to find out more, you could check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. And if you get that high score, negotiate like a pro. Schools want high LSAT scores, but they're not just going to hand out the money unless you ask for it. Use your high LSAT as leverage to push for more scholarship money. Don't take the first offer they give you. Now, for top law schools, the LSAT is far too valuable to fully disappear. It stabilizes the rankings, it predicts your success, and it makes their admissions decisions easier. And for you, it's your best tool to stand out, maximize your chances of getting in, and get paid with scholarships. And if you're ready to take your LSAT prep to the next level, I've got you covered with that free easy LSAT cheat sheet linked below this video, and feel free to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you map out the best approach for your situation, put you on the path to 170 plus. Again, the links are below. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.